Seen a huge increase in it this year. Nevada, about 70% of all abortions here in Nevada are done by pill now. We just had a couple months span here earlier this year where we had 13 gals reach out to us for abortion pill reversals in a 3-month span time. We had 4 in 8 days. And so we said, praise God that these girls are getting through to find this help, because it was being blocked by a lot of like Google and things where you couldn't find reversals to having taken the abortion pill. So now they're actually succeeding in finding it more. The national hotline told us pregnancy centers in November of last year that they had a 200 gals that month. They were just off the charts in what they were starting to see. So it's awesome to know that people are able to find that now. Our first abortion pill reversal was in 2017, and it was a set of twins. So they're 8 years old now.
God is so good, isn't he? Do you think anything is possible inside of Sin City, Las Vegas? I believe what God is doing is that he's bringing people together under the spirit of unity to display that anything and everything is possible through him. This is Las Vegas United. Well, hello and welcome to Las Vegas United. I'm your host, Deborah Costelo. It is a pleasure to be with you all yet again. If you're watching from YouTube, we welcome you. If you are watching from YouTube, can you do us a huge favor? Make sure you hit that button, the bell, so that way you get notified every single time we go live. Also, too, if you're watching from Keen 17, we welcome. If you're watching from our app, because we're up on the apps, come on, somebody. We welcome everyone here today. I have a special guest. She is the director for First Choice. Can you help me welcome Deborah Costelo? Did I get it right?
You got it right.
Come on, somebody. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. Now, you were here before. We want to reintroduce you to our audience, because our audiences probably have grown and it's different now. So can you just tell them who Deborah is?
Well, I'm a wife. I'm a mother of 4 children.
Come on.
My eldest just graduated high school last year.
Ooh.
So I have a 19-year-old daughter.
Okay.
And then I have a 17-year-old senior this coming year. I have a 14-year-old son and a 12-year-old son. That's my personal side of life.
Absolutely, 100%.
And then I am the director at First Choice Pregnancy Services, which is a local Christian nonprofit pregnancy center. We provide all of our services free of charge. We do free pregnancy testing, free ultrasounds, medical consultation, limited services that we provide as far as material services, like we do some diapers and wipies and limited baby items to help mothers that, you know, just need some help with diapers and stuff like that. We also do abortion pill reversals. We are the only ones here in Southern Nevada that provide that service.
Come on. That's not something little.
It isn't.
Right? You know, we were talking about it off camera, but it's not something little. This is something that's huge. Can you kind of just elaborate on that just a little bit more? I mean, because maybe someone really, really needs to hear this right now.
A lot of people don't realize post Roe versus Wade being overturned, the majority of abortions now are being done by the abortion pill, which is a 2-part series. The first pill blocks the progesterone so that your pregnancy can't advance. It literally starves the baby of what it needs to survive the hormone. So you take that set of pills and then you wait 36 to 48 to 72 hours. Some of these girls, like, it's just kind of like a Russian roulette. I'm going to take it now and just hope. You take that second set of pills, and then that set of pills expels the baby. So it's really like a do-it-yourself abortion at home now. These girls are buying them online without having had an ultrasound to see if the pregnancy is even in the uterus. They take a pill, and if it's in a fallopian tube, ectopic, they see little blood and they think they're good and they're done. They don't know what their blood type is, so some of them are having issues bleeding out in their bathrooms. And then they also don't know how far along they are often when they take that. It's intended to be used up to 10 weeks, but so many of these girls, when they find themselves in that situation and their world is spinning, they're so often off on their dates that they're often farther along than they think they are.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's typical, right? Because, even when you go in, just typically, it's like, okay, well, when was the last time? You know, it's like, okay, well, based on the last time you had, your cycle or whatnot, it's like, okay, this is the estimated aspect of conception. So you're this many weeks along. And a lot of times you're further along. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah. You're further along than what you thought that you were. The
majority of these girls are.
Yeah. That's a huge danger and health risk, isn't it?
We had a gal that had taken it, and she came in actually to us seeking a surgical abortion because she had taken the pill, and had almost made it to her toilet, and the baby fell out on the floor.
Oh my goodness!
And she was a week away from being 4 months pregnant, and so. After 3 days of swelling and having a fever, her friend told her, you got to go see the doctor, like something's wrong. And she went in and found out that she was going septic. She had a twin that had passed in there that she didn't know about. And so you have a lot of these girls that don't know anything about what they're walking into. And so they take these pills, whether they get them in the mail or they go to an abortion clinic.
Right.
And they go home and they wait. And it's a mental torture session is what it is, because you sit there and you wait to take this next pill. You're thinking about it. Whereas when you go in for a surgical one, I mean, it's a 5-10 minute procedure generally, and there's no going back on it.
Yeah.
So when these girls take this pill, like yesterday, we had a gal that reached out to us that had gone to a Planned Parenthood yesterday. They had done an ultrasound for her. They don't show the patient the ultrasound. They just tell them what they know off of it.
That's very, very, very interesting, isn't it?
So she was told she was 7 weeks and 4 days. She took the pill and then regretted it later. And so they reached out to us, the national hotline, to see if we could help her reverse it. So obviously, the sooner the better that you can get these gals the protocol. It's progesterone with folic acid and prenatal. So it floods the system with progesterone to overcome the one that's there to block it, mifepristone. It's giving a lady a second chance at choosing life for her baby when she's made a decision to end it. We've seen a huge increase in it this year. Nevada, about 70% of all abortions here in Nevada are done by pill now. We just had a couple months span here earlier this year where we had 13 gals reach out to us for abortion pill reversals in a 3-month span time. We had 4 in 8 days. And so we said, praise God that these girls are getting through to find this help, because it was being blocked by a lot of like Google and things where you couldn't find reversals to having taken the abortion pill. So now they're actually succeeding in finding it more. The national hotline told us pregnancy centers in November of last year that they had 200 gals that month. They were just off the charts in what they were starting to see.
Come on.
So it's awesome to know that people are able to find that now, and be able to see their babies. I think our oldest, our first abortion pill reversal was in 2017, and it was a set of twins. So they're 8 years old now.
God is so good, isn't he?
Yeah, we had one gal that is a nurse. That was a story I was sharing with you guys earlier.
Yes.
She was just pressured by her now ex-husband to abort this child, and she had taken... her and her husband had separated, and then she had ended up in a different relationship. And then he decided he wanted to try working it out with her, and she found out she was pregnant. And so he told her, you can't have that baby. And so she asked him if she could place it for adoption, and he told her no, that it couldn't exist. And so she ended up taking the abortion pill, and she said then the nurse in her kicked in and thought, what happens if I give birth to this baby and I watch it take its last breath? And I'd actually never thought about that part of taking an abortion pill at home. These women do face the reality of seeing their babies born like that, that you don't see when you go in for a chemical abortion.
Yeah.
And so her and her mom got online and searched, and she came in, and praise God, her baby had 160 some heartbeat. And so our doctor prescribed her the protocol, and the little girl just turned 3 on the 11th of October.
Yeah.
And she went to Capitol Hill last year, Washington, D.C., to go talk to Congress about abortion pill reversal. You know, if if you're going to be on the side of being, I say pro-abortion. They like to say, some like to say pro-choice, which they're moving away from that language because they're really embracing abortion. You should be willing to provide people with all their choices and options.
Right.
When you sell them that pill, they should be made aware that if they regret that pill, they can reverse it. And so it's really about bringing awareness to that being something that can be done, because so many people have no idea. I mean, I was talking to a OB here in town a few weeks ago, and he was like, that's a thing? He had no idea. And so it's not something that's prevalently known in the medical community. It's really kind of hidden and suppressed, but God can break through all that.
He certainly can. And you know, it's interesting, right? Because me and my wife, we were just in Washington, D.C. The other week for Intercession for America, and also too for Commune America, right? And it was interesting because, you know, we're praying for the Congress and everything, and all the justices. And when we really think about abortion, right? When we think about what it actually does, is the question becomes is how far along would we be as a humanity if we didn't have all the abortions that we had, right? Because what it means is that, you know, when God says, hey, this life is coming to the earth, there's a purpose for that life, right? That life is supposed to accomplish something, right? And so you think to take that out is to take away the purpose or what that life was going to bring. Right? Just think about like how many evangelists, how many doctors, how many nurses, right? How many public speakers, how many people, like
how many cures?
Right. It's like how many things have died because the enemy has came in and saying, hey, yeah, no. And we see that the enemy has always tried to take out life, right? You know, it's like we see it when they try to take out Jesus, but we still see it come forth. And I think that's what we're really seeing here, right? Is we're seeing where someone has come with the I hate to say cure, but to come and combat what the enemy is looking to do through a pill. And it's like, you know what? No worries. We're going to come in. We're going to combat that. We're coming with life, right? This is what we're going to produce, and we're going to do this so that way life does come forth, because there's something purposeful when it comes down to every single human being that touches anybody's womb.
A few years ago during the COVID thing, there is a website that has a clock, multiple clocks, that keeps a running tally of abortion throughout the world. And it breaks it down throughout the world, throughout different states, by the minute, by this, like, it's crazy what it does. And you can check back in like an hour, and it will be several thousand babies have been aborted. And so when you think about it beyond America, America is over 70 million babies now in 50 years. When you look at it on how many abortions are done nationally every year, or worldwide every year, it's over 70 million babies every year. 73, I think it was, during COVID. And people even think with Roe versus Wade being overturned that abortion is going down in America. Actually, it's the highest abortion rate we've ever had post that. I saw something the other day that I think it was at 1,000,000.15, I think is what they estimated. But there's really no way to have a hard number on it anymore, because of people buying it online.
Right.
And there's just a lot of states that have abortion laws in place now that you can't perform abortions. A lot of those are being changed now because people are putting it on their ballot. And places like my home state of Missouri had a trigger law that went into effect when Roe versus Wade got overturned. And so that automatically eliminated abortion once you could detect a heartbeat. And so a year ago they put it on their ballot, and you know, the devil is so crafty and cunning. You know, they have these lobbyists and these pro-abortion activists that are crafting legislation in states across America that they're putting these abortion legislations on ballots, and people are like, oh, we're here to protect the woman's right, not realizing what they're doing is that they're enshrining it oftentimes in constitutions that you can now have an abortion up to birth. So my home state that was a heartbeat bill, is now able to perform abortions to the time your baby is born. And it's a very conservative state, Missouri.
Right.
And so you have even like Ohio. You have so many places across the U.S. One of the only states that they voted on abortion post Roe versus Wade has been Florida, that said no. And it barely, by the skin of its teeth, didn't pass. But I also think that why it didn't pass in Florida was because you had a governor who was in front of it telling people not to vote for that. You also had somebody that ran for president just so that he would have the ability to run commercials, abortion commercials within that state. Because if you're a federal candidate, they can't censor your commercial message. So he took images from the DC-5 years ago. There was in 2022. There was a few babies, large babies, late-term babies, that were uncovered in 2 boxes. These 2 ladies were standing outside of an abortion clinic, and the delivery man came to pick up the baby boxes. And they said to him, "Do you know what you have in there?" And he said, "No." And they told him that it was aborted babies. And so he scanned them that he'd received them, and he turned his back to him and told him, "You guys can do with it whatever you want." And they took him back to a location. There was 115 babies in these 2 boxes. 5 of them were viable, big babies. And so this guy that ran for president took some of those images along with other images he had, and he ran commercials in Florida. And so those people in Florida have been educated in another way that a lot of Americans haven't, because they've seen the truth and horrors of what that looks like. And so here in Nevada, it was on our ballot last year. It passed with 64% of the vote. It's going on our ballot again next year. If it passes with the majority again next year, then Nevada will go from, right now our laws say you can abort a baby for any reason up to 24 weeks, which is 6 months. If you want to have an abortion after 24 weeks, you have to have a doctor sign off for mental health, whatever reasons, and you have to do it in a hospital. So people here in Nevada that voted last year didn't realize that. They didn't realize it's already in our laws. They're thinking, oh, we're going to protect a woman's right. And so by doing that, not only are they allowing a mother to come here, or a mother who lives here, to go murder her baby up until the point of delivery, but it's also going to remove any parental notification of minors. So a minor could go do it without any parents being notified. It changes it from, right now you have to be a licensed physician to provide abortions. It changes it to a healthcare professional. You know what a healthcare professional could be? That's a tattoo artist. It changes all these things in there, and it actually puts women in a much worse spot if you're truly worried about protecting their health. So this is where we need God's people to get involved in this, whether it's getting involved in a pregnancy center or it's educating yourself on the basics of life and fetal development, or knowing that abortion pill reversal is a thing. You know, 70% of women that were interviewed in one of the surveys said they were attending church at least once a month when they had their abortion. Churches, pastors, they need to be willing to speak on this. We can address the sin, but we can also take care of what came from that sin in a loving way with some grace.
Yeah, because we had somebody in our church, right? She ended up pregnant, and she thought, based on, you know, coming up in church, you know, previously or whatnot, right? Of the very legalistic and religious aspect of things, right? I'm not, now please hear me, you know, sin is sin. That's, and I 100% believe in that, right? But then also too, you know, she was in a dilemma. You know, and I recall, like, you know, me and my wife called into the, she wanted to have a meeting with us, you know, so we talked to her, and I told her, I was like, you know, she's like, you know, like, I don't want to, I'm like who's going to make you lead a church? I'm like, but that doesn't make any sense to me. It's like, no. I was like, no, what do you, how can we help you? Like, how can we help you? You know, I looked at my wife, I'm like, you know, Get the women of the church together and have a baby shower for her.
God bless you.
Celebrate her,
life.
celebrate the life, right? Because she already feels bad over the situation. And I can sit here and say she's an amazing mom. She's given her all. She's an amazing woman as well, right? She's a woman of God. And we just watched her grow. And when she comes in now, she's like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy to be here, because that's what you want, right? Yes, she knows what she did is wrong. But we don't, as a church, we don't have to continue to remind her of this sin. Let's celebrate the life that she's bringing in, because she could have chose something else, right? So here's a question for you, just really fast. Just why did you go into First Choice? Like, what made you say, you know what, I need to be there?
When I was 6 years old, my family moved to Los Angeles, California. And my dad was on his way to work one day on a bus, and he saw a newspaper article that had a pro-life rally that was going to be happening that next day. And he passed away and went to be with Jesus 2 years ago. But before he passed, I said, Dad, did you have any idea what our family was walking into and what we were going to see that day when we walked in that building? And he said, no, I had no idea. We walked in, and at the front of the auditorium, this church, there was a little coffin about the size of a shoebox. And it had a little baby girl in it whose name was Baby Choice. And she had been aborted by saline abortion. So it's when they inject a saline into your uterus and the baby ingests it, and it just burns the baby up. And when the baby stops kicking, you're supposed to notify them, and then they know to go ahead and deliver the dead baby. Well, some pro-lifers had recovered that baby from a abortion clinic's dumpster in an alley, and they took it on a tour throughout the United States showing people what abortion was.
Oh, my goodness.
And so my dad walked in with his family to this event, and our family got to see the reality of what abortion was. So growing up, my dad had his family out on a sidewalk in front of abortion clinics trying to talk to the girls going in and trying to give them alternatives. And so I did that growing up. But then when I was a little bit older, there was a little pregnancy center across from an abortion clinic we were always at. And, you know, back when the movement started that way, women still had a conscience about, they knew this has been legalized in my lifetime. You had counter-protesters out there. And so as time progressed forward, abortion clinics started moving their doors to the side parking lot where you didn't have access to the gals anymore. And so there was a little pregnancy center across the street that was never closed because it was in a minority community. And my dad always said, white flight, you move out of the neighborhood and you don't come over here if you're not comfortable, which is where the abortion clinics are primarily targeting people. And so I ended up volunteering, opening that center weekly, and we realized that we were much more successful in having girls walk in there seeking abortion, being across from that center, than we were standing on the sidewalk necessarily. And so a couple years later, somebody out here in Vegas was getting ready to try and open a pregnancy center across from the busiest late-term abortion clinic here in Nevada that did them up to 6 months. And they started calling across the United States, and I think he said he talked to 40 locations when he stumbled upon me. And so I came out here. I said, I'll give you guys 2 years because I did not want to live here. Right. And now it's, I started First Choice. I got married. Then I stepped aside. I homeschooled my kids, and then they asked me to join the board about 10 years ago. And so I stepped back in as a board member for a little while. And then a couple years ago, we needed an executive director because ours had parted ways. And they said, Deb, will you do this for 8 weeks while we look for a new one? And it's been the longest 8 weeks of my life. We're on 4 years now. And so
well, God has not released you yet.
Involved.
He hasn't released you just yet.
He hasn't. Yes. I do believe that he has me here for this time and this purpose. I don't know how long that time will be, but, you know, we've had a lot of challenges. You know, with Roe versus Wade being overturned, we've been targeted. Our doctor was targeted by the medical board last year, and she paid a high price for it. Her hospital took her job from her over it. Oh my goodness. Even though they drug it out for a whole year and found all 10 things they'd thrown at us unsubstantiated. We were targeted by people in town on the other side of the issue. And so it was a very politically targeted situation that happened. But we've had anarchists tagging on our building. We've had harassment online. But God's been faithful. He's protected us.
Yeah.
He's kept us going and moving and saving babies. We're at almost 47,000 babies that have been saved at First Choice in 21 years.
Come on.
God is good.
Yes,
we
He
stand
is.
another day to fight.
Come on now, and you think, it is one of those deals where, persecution can come against us, right? The one thing is that Jesus intercedes, and being a God of life, who better to intercede than the one that raised, right? Yep. I am the life. I am the way, the life, and the truth. So you think it's just one of those deals where it's like, who better to intercede on what you're doing?
Mm-hmm. It's also a very humbling ministry to be involved in when you see these little kids come back in with their mothers. Our oldest kid that was saved is 20 years old. He's a youth worship minister down in Texas. And so now our kids are getting, our first babies from when we opened are getting ready to be parents themselves.
Come on.
And so when you see these, we had a young girl whose mom dropped her off the other day, 14 years old. She found out she was pregnant when she was 13. Her mom went and got her the abortion pill and had her take it. And then when she got home, she didn't want to abort the baby, so she threw it up. Well, her mom didn't pay any attention to it and found out now, weeks later, that she's still pregnant, and she's like 5 months pregnant. And so she came and dropped her off at First Choice the other day and said, "She's yours, I don't want her anymore," and left her. And so, what do you do with the young girl like that? You love her, and you try and be a mother to her that she should have. And we found her a spot at Living Grace, the maternity home down in Henderson, and they took her in, and she's going to have a baby here in another 3 months. But it's seeing people like that are desperate. We've had several gals that have come in lately that have been raped. We had a gal that had come across the border with her 2 little kids, and the cartel told her, "You are your 6-year-old daughter." And she begged them, "Please, not my daughter." And so they repeatedly raped her for several of the weeks on her trip up here. And she got to Vegas, and she walked in our clinic with 52 cents to pay for an abortion. And we showed her an ultrasound image of her 17-week-old baby, and little Helen just turned 1 year old. And so you see these babies who society would reject, people that would be shamed for carrying a baby like that you're able to just love on, speak life into, and then you see them come back to our March for Life, and they participated in it this year.
Come on.
And it's like, that is why we stand. That's why we fight. That's why we don't give up. I mean, some days are a beat down in there.
Yeah, no, I can imagine.
But we know God is faithful, and we know why we do what we do. And if there is a hill worth dying on, you better die on the hill of life, because if you don't have life, you don't have anything.
Come on now, I love it. How can people get to know more about First Choice website, and also too, how can they come alongside you as well?
Our website is fcpschampions.org. We're on all the social medias. You can find us on all of them. You can call our clinic. It's 702-294-CARE 2273. We're primarily volunteer driven, so we're always looking for volunteers. We're trying to build more medical staff behind our center. We hope to expand. We hope to go snatch some more babies from the jaws of Satan here in Las Vegas, but that requires more money, more people.
Deborah, thank you for coming up on Las Vegas United and sharing with us what is going on inside of our city, and even much more across our nation. So once again, thank you. And also too, we want to thank you all for tuning in as well to Las Vegas United. We pray that if you come across anyone that's in that crossroad, that's like, either it's going to be life or it's going to be death, or maybe they just need someone to talk to, take them over to First Choice. We want to make sure we give them the resources, understanding that life is more important than anything else. Because why? Because God is a God of life. May the Lord bless all of you. We want to thank you guys for tuning in. We'll catch you on our next episode here at Las Vegas United.
Our show is hosted by Pastor Dada Presley from Connection Church LV. To learn more about him and his ministry, please visit myconnectionlv.org. Our guest this week is Deborah Costelo from First Choice Pregnancy Services. For more information, please visit fcpschampions.org.